the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies!
All right, folks, welcome back to the Pilot Pre-Game Show. We're back with our second segment here from the Carolina Ale House. And, man, is this just a beautiful setting for sports, for vibes. I mean, this place is really starting to get packed out here on a Friday night. The bar is filling up. There's not too many seats left. And, man, they've got the outdoor bar, too. It's a little bit too hot for that right now. But, man, they've got taps everywhere, TVs everywhere, and the food is phenomenal. If you missed our first segment, tough luck. We had a great food review. We went over some of our featured batters for tonight's game, a 7 o'clock first pitch start between the Barons and the Smokies. But now we're getting into the second segment, and we like to always start it off with some Cubs news. And why? It's because, well, the Smokies are the AA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, and also, of course, because anything the Cubs do is going to be impacting us here in Knoxville with the Smokies. And right now is one of the biggest times of the year where we could really see this team get shaken up, and that's because it's trade deadline season. So our first segment, we're going to go into some Cubs news, and our first talking point really is we've got a bunch of the best names on the trade deadline market right now, and we're going to kind of, develop some trade packages that we think the Cubs may be viable in, pursuing to get some of these big names on their roster for this postseason push. So with that, Jimbo, I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you. Who's your first guy that you would think that the Cubs can realistically go after?
As much as this kills me to say, the Orioles, I'm a Maryland guy, born and raised, and Zach Eflin is on the radar here for the Cubs. Orioles sitting at 34-46 on the season. They've been struggling all season long. And Zach Eflin, in 2024, he's 5-2 with a 2.6 ERA in 9 starts. He was absolutely dominant for the Orioles. Came in a trade with Matthew Etzel, Jackson Ballmeister, and Mac Horvath from the Tampa Bay Rays. This year, it's not been that. He's 6-4 currently, 5.46 ERA in 11 starts. He's struggling. Realistically, what I think that the Cubs could give up in this is the Orioles need pitching. And for me, just looking at the Cubs' top prospects, maybe a guy in the lower half of the top 30 prospects, like a Drew Gray, could be an option for the Orioles. But they've just struggled. A lot of injuries on the pitching staff, and I think that's just a need for the Cubs. They obviously are struggling themselves, but they could use more starters, and the Orioles could use more, essentially, farm guys here. Their farm is thinning out with Samuel Basallo obviously being pretty much one of the last top prospects that the Orioles have.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know you mentioned Cubs starting pitching that the Orioles could be interesting in. Of course, we've got one of the best Cubs prospects in terms of starting pitching down here right now in AA. And his name is Jackson Wiggins, if you haven't heard of him, number 10 prospect in the Cubs system. This guy has been, I'm sure, on a lot of other teams' radars. I don't think this is going to be one of the guys in the farm system that the Cubs want to give up necessarily, but who knows? A blockbuster deal could get it done. I don't know if Zach Eflin's that guy, but I know you had to hit on your hometown Orioles right there. I know Mick will love that segment as well.
That kills me to say, man. I'm telling you, they're just disappointing me this year.
Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be sellers at the deadline, but you never know. The Orioles could get hot, but the Rays are also starting to make a charge up there with the Yankees at the top of the AL East. So we'll move it on to some more names, and Daniel, who do you have? Who's your guy you think the Cubs should really go after this offseason? Excuse me. Jeez, I keep saying offseason. We're in the trade deadline season. It gets me fired up.
July 31st.
Yep, July 31st. So, Daniel, who's your guy?
I'm going to go with Seth Lugo from the Kansas City Royals. Obviously, he's getting up in his mid to late 30s, but the stuff is still there. He's dealt with some injuries this year, but he's 4-5 as a starter this year with a 2.93 ERA. His last start back on June 22nd, they lost 3-2 versus the Padres, but he did have 7 strikeouts. I think, obviously, you look at last year, Lugo was an all-star, so the stuff's still there. I think this would really benefit the Cubs pitching staff if they could somehow land Lugo. And if you're going to give up some prospects, I look at either Brett Bateman, possibly, or Christian Franklin that the Cubs would probably have to give up for Lugo. It might be tough to pull off because the Royals really like their starting pitching rotation, but I think the Cubs should at least make an offer.
Yeah, I think with the Royals and where they're at right now, everybody's excited about this young core with Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, whoever else they're able to, build this core with. You got Jonathan India coming over as another kind of middle-aged veteran guy. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go. You mentioned Brett Bateman. That's a guy we've gotten to see a lot this year, and he's been phenomenal. Seems like he's always up in the leadoff spot. He's always on base. In fact, what is it right now? He's rocking a 19-game on-base streak, I believe. He's just been insane. So this would be a sell-high situation if the Cubs were to go ahead and give up on Brett Bateman. But they do have a lot of outfield talent up at the big leagues, of course, with Kyle Tucker, Pete Crow-Armstrong, and a lot in AAA as well. So it's going to be a tough road to the majors for these AA outfielders. So, yeah, could see some of these guys get moved. And Seth Lugo does seem like he would be a great addition to the rotation for the Cubs as they get into this playoff push. But for me, you guys pointed out solo guys, and you went with your own teams, Orioles and Royals. I thought that was funny. Unfortunately, for other people, I'm a Dodgers fan, and they're not really going to be moving anybody in terms of selling big pieces. But so I'm more so looking at package deals. We've seen a lot of these starting pitchers. The Cubs need starting pitching. The Cubs need starting pitching. That's all the headlines right now. But Matt Shaw, one of the younger guys, we saw him with the Smokies last year. He's been brought up for the second time now. He's getting some time at third base, but a lot of Cubs fans and MLB insiders don't think Matt Shaw is going to be the postseason third baseman for this team. So with that, there's been a lot of talks about maybe Eugenio Suarez, maybe some other guys. I mean, the Diamondbacks could be a good trade team because they've got also some starting pitching that could be on the block with Merrill Kelly. But the team I wanted to talk about is the Boston Red Sox. This is a team that's obviously had a disappointing start to this year. They had the Netflix documentary last year or a couple of seasons ago. That was super cool to see. They really should have done this season because, I mean, what has happened? You got all the Rafael Devers drama. I mean, I just don't know what's going on with this team right now. And it seems like they brought in Alex Bregman to go ahead and make themselves ready for that postseason run, and that just hasn't happened with this team. But Bregman's still been playing well. So Bregman, a guy who just signed a 3-year deal, has opt-outs after every season. What's he going to do? I think he might be enticed to go ahead and let the Boston Red Sox shop him around. And another guy, I know I mentioned the Dodgers, so I'm going to bring up Walker Buehler. This is a guy who can pitch in the big moments. We've seen it in the World Series now. So if the Cubs really, really wanted to get aggressive, going after someone like Alex Bregman in a package with Walker Buehler to go ahead and give yourself some more rotational depth and an all-star third baseman, that would be a blockbuster deal. They'd have to give up a million prospects. I don't think they'd want to give up Matt Shaw in this deal for a guy like Bregman who has an opt-out after this season. They're already trying to find enough money to sign Kyle Tucker to a long-term deal. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but they have plenty of prospects, Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara, down in the minor leagues that could be viable options for a trade piece like this. You even got Moises Ballesteros, who's a catcher who's kind of being blocked right now due to his inability to really be a consistent presence behind the dish in a defensive role. So we'll see. I think there could be a lot of blockbusters around the corner for the Cubs in terms of what's being thrown out there in the rumor mill for this trade deadline season. So excited to see how it shakes out. But for some more Cubs news, we got to talk about the all-stars on this team. I mean, Pete Crow-Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, Carson Kelly, all of them are advancing to the next selection of all-star voting. MLB announced just this past Thursday. So Kelly, the second most popular catcher behind the Dodgers' Will Smith. Pete Crow-Armstrong leads NL outfielders and was one of 6 players on the ballot to exceed 3 million votes. That's just incredible. Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, Knoxville, because I know a lot of these Knoxville, Tennessee people remember PCA and the hype he was able to build down in the minor leagues. And with that, Kyle Tucker finished 4th among the outfielders behind Los Angeles Dodgers' Teoscar Hernandez and the surging Ronald Acuna Jr., of course, the Atlanta Braves guy. They're hosting the All-Star game, so he's probably going to make the starting roster, even with limited playing time this season. But this is kind of cool. If Crow-Armstrong and Tucker both make the starting outfield, Jimbo, I know you've got a fun fact here. Why don't you let us know what it is?
Yeah, so it's actually a cool story here. If Pete Crow-Armstrong and Tucker become like starters here in the All-Star game, it's going to be the first time since 2008 for the Chicago Cubs that they've had 2 starters be in the lineup here for the 2025 All-Star game. This happened back, though, in 2008. Alfonso Soriano, who I haven't heard that name in years, and Kasuke Fukudome is the other one. Those 2 made their starts in the 2008 All-Star game. So very interesting if the Cubs can have another pair of dominant outfielders to start the game.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible race to watch. I mean, this is going to be a lovely all-star game. I feel like typically you've got the AL always taking the advantage in the all-star game. I think this year might be an NL year. I don't know. That's just me. I'm throwing it out there now. If it happens, then I will say I called it. But until then, we're just going to leave it up in the air. And with that, we'll go ahead and get back into today's game. We'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown. And Daniel, who are we going to have on the mound here for game number 4 between the Barons and the Smokies?
I'll get us started with the Smokies. It'll be right-handed pitcher, number 34, Grant Kipp. He's 5-2 this season with a 2.98 ERA. And then for Birmingham, the left-handed pitcher, number 44, Shane Murphy. He's 5-3 this season with a 1.62 ERA. It'll be interesting to see how both these pitchers turn out tonight, but I'm confident Grant Kipp will be very dialed in for the Smokies. He's been efficient all year long.
Yeah, so with that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the starting 9 that he'll be facing off against. We'll go ahead and start with the Birmingham Barons, and then I'll throw it over to you, Jimbo, for our starting 9 for the Smokies. But here's how the Barons are going to be aligned tonight. You've got Riku Nishida, the right fielder, the left-handed bat, up at the leadoff spot. He's the team leader in on-base percentage, so no surprise that he's there up at the top. William Bergoya, the left-handed shortstop, is going to bat second. Caden Connor, got to love all my Connors, especially when they spell it with the O-R, but not today. He's on the Barons, so we're rooting against Caden Connor, the first baseman, out of the 3 spot for the Barons. DJ Gladney does the cleaning up. He'll be in center field. Jacob Gonzalez, who had a big error in the first inning yesterday that really led to that 5-run inning for the Smokies, he's going to be out of the 5 spot at second base today. He was at shortstop yesterday when he made that error. So they're moving him over. He'll play second base. Mario Camilletti, the left-handed DH, bats 6th. And then 7, 8, 9 for the Barons will be Jacob Burke in left field, Calvin Harris behind the dish, and Jason Matthews, who's got a nice little on-base streak himself out of the 9 spot. He'll be playing third base, all of them behind Shane Murphy, who's going to be on the mound tonight. And so, Jimbo, how is Lance Reimel aligning the starting 9 for the Smokies tonight?
Yeah, so we got leading off Jalen Palmer in center field to start. Second, we got Pedro Ramirez playing third base tonight. Our third man in the lineup will be Corey Joyce at shortstop. Then we'll have our cleanup hitter, the designated hitter, B.J. Murray Jr., batting 5th. We're going to have Pablo Aliendo at first base. And then 6, 7, 8, we're going to have Rayvosh Garcia at second base, Felix Stevens in right field, and Jordan Wogu in left field. And then to end the bottom of the order here, we got Casey Opitz catching, all behind right-handed pitcher Grant Kipp.
Yep, it's going to be a lovely day for the Smokies. We've got a great day for baseball. The sun is shining. There's a little bit of cloud cover, so it's not going to get, too toasty. But, of course, that Tennessee humidity coming in here in the summer months. But, man, just got to say another shout-out for this Carolina Ale House, man. This place is amazing. You look at all these people playing pool. You've got the punching bag machine. There's just everything going on here. We love coming here to host our Pilot pregame shows. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, we're streaming it always. But if you want to come visit us, we're here every Friday when the Smokies are home at the Carolina Ale House. Tomorrow on Saturday, we'll be at Local Smoky. And on Thursdays, we'll be at the West Town Mall. So, folks, make sure you come out and join us. We're doing giveaways. You never know what you're going to get. We've had so many promotions this year for the Smokies, and we've been able to give out some pretty awesome gifts, some collectible bobbleheads, some RC cars, even tickets to the next Smokies game that you could even want to attend. So with that, folks, we'll go ahead and get into our final segment here on our Pilot pregame show, our keys to the game. And with that, Daniel, I'll go ahead and throw it over to you. What's your first key to the game here for the Smokies tonight?
It's got to be Grant Kipp has to keep his pitch count down. Last time he played Birmingham, he threw for over 87 pitches and walked 4 batters the last time out he played versus Birmingham, the Barons. So I think Kipp has to keep the pitch count down. He'll be more efficient if he can, and I think he'll allow less runs and less damage if he can keep the pitch count down.
I like it. We'll keep it right there. Kipp needs to have a great day, an efficient day for the Smokies to get back into the win column. Jimbo, what's your key to game number 4?
My key to the game essentially is just to get on board first. You're going to put more pressure on the Barons offense to try and score runs. Obviously, Grant Kipp, he's been very dominant this year in his starts. And also the Smokies last night, they got on the board first, striked early, 5 runs in the first inning, ended up winning, scoring 9 runs in that game. So, like I said, just putting pressure on the other team is the key to the game for me.
I like it. And, for me, I'm going to run it back. I'm going with the same key to the game that I had yesterday, and that's going to be catcher contributions. Again, Casey Opitz and Pablo Aliendo, 2 of the 3 Smokies catchers, back in the lineup here today. And if we're looking at yesterday's box score, Pablo Aliendo picked up 2 knocks. Opitz didn't have a hit, but he did get on base and scored a run. So that production from the catchers was huge. Pablo Aliendo's up in the 5 spot. Casey Opitz rounds out the lineup in the 9 hole. So I'm looking at these two guys to really, be some glue guys in this lineup to really transition it from the meat of the order to the bottom of the order, and then from the bottom of the order back to the top of the order. So with that wraps up our keys to the game here on our Pilot Pre-Game Show. And folks, we're going to wrap it up here from the Carolina Ale House. This is one of the greatest spots to enjoy, live music. There's just so much stuff going on. And of course, we've got Medieval Night going on tonight at the ballpark. You never know what you're going to see. I mean, Knights, Royals, Peasants. Jimbo, you're going to be a peasant, aren't you?
I don't know. I'm looking forward more to this friendship bracelet giveaway tomorrow night. That one's going to be an interesting one.
That's right. Our upcoming promotions include Smokies Version Night going on tomorrow, Saturday night. That's DJ Swifty's going to be in the house playing Taylor Swift remixes. I know Daniel's going to be getting his groove on over there. He loves Taylor Swift. He's a huge Swift.
I'll tell you what, on a side note here, I saw Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were in Nashville, so they're not too far away.
You never know what kind of guest appearances you could get at Smokies Version Night. That could be an exciting one. Who knows? Travis Kelce, Taylor. I mean, that would blow Knoxville's mind, right? I mean, that would blow my mind. Daniel might geek out so bad that we'll have to take him out of the stadium. I don't know if he can be that close to Taylor Swift right now. I mean, look at him. He's already getting so excited. He's starting to foam at the mouth, folks. We can't keep him away from Taylor Swift. You never know. But, hey, that was going to wrap up our live Pilot Pre-Game Show. We love coming here to the Carolina Ale House. It's one of the best spots in Knoxville to go ahead and take in your sports. We've got TVs around every corner. The game day truly never ends. So with that, Daniel, Jimbo, myself, Connor, we're signing out for the Smokies Baseball Network. We thank everybody for watching up at the CHP scoreboard or tuning along with us here on the stream at YouTube. So, folks, Pilot Pre-Game Show signing out. And as always, we'll finish it off with a Let's Go Smoky.
Fans, for the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies!